Kathy, if you don't mind, I just want to remind your group that under the new remote meetings rules, the meeting is being recorded, okay? And by tomorrow at this time, it will be posted on the website because that's a requirement. Whoever's taking minutes, the minutes have to be to the township and posted within 48 hours.
Okay, Kelly isn't going to be here. Did you all get a copy of the minutes from the last meeting?
No.
Did Margaret send them out this afternoon?
I didn't see them come through
No.
on the agenda.
No.
Were they in the packet?
No, because I was late getting them out. Can somebody else take the notes? Anybody else?
Funny because they're being recorded. Yeah.
So we still have to take them, Steph? I mean, do they have to be handwritten
Yes.
as well?
Because you're still gonna have to have minutes, go in your minute book and all that. So.
I'll wait 'em.
Nobody wants to take the minutes.
I'll do it, Kat.
Well, I mean, I'm a lousy. You all know I'm a lousy. I get involved in the conversation and forget to take the minutes. But all right, Karen, if you can do it, that would be great.
No problem.
Karen, how are you?
I'm well. Excuse my baseball hat is covering my Pepe Le Pew stripe. There has to be a little humor in this.
Okay. All right. So right off the bat, folks, I want to encourage everybody to, since we know that our parks are about the only thing, our park trails are about the only thing that is available to our community, that if we're out and about, remember that as park board members, we are ambassadors of our Park and Rec department. So as much as we can, let's be helpful, positive, speak up, answer questions, whatever we can do just to keep things positive. I've found more people smiling and happy to see somebody on the bike hike trails than I think I ever have. So just a FYI there. I don't think we have anyone public comments, right? I don't see anybody I don't recognize. We can scoot on from that.
Now I just checked the participants. You don't have anybody else.
Okay, good. So we will, if you all did not get the meeting notes, then we won't, we have nothing to do with those. I will say that I did make edits to the February 10th or 11th meeting notes, and we'll submit those to Margaret. And please, when you do get the ones next meeting, read the ones I did, please edit if need be, but so we don't have meeting notes to deal with. Correspondence, didn't see any in the packet. Karen, is there anything?
No.
That's good. I didn't see any mention of any plans.
No, I checked.
Good. So we can move on. Ongoing, I think Dave's coming on. Are you there, Dave?
He's trying.
Is Ryan on?
No.
No.
She's home, I can tell you that.
Okay. And Kelly's not on, is that correct?
Yeah, Kelly emailed me and said she couldn't be.
I'm just catching up with that. Okay.
All right.
Dave's voice is on, but not his video.
Hear me?
Yep, there you go.
Now we hear you.
Okay.
Hi, Dave.
Hello.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. All right, so we are about to move on to our park visits and assessment. Kevin and I chatted a little bit today. Kevin, do you want to kind of catch everybody up on where we are and where we're going?
I can try. I'm going to see if I can share my screen with the software package. I'm not sure how to do this. So give me a second. Oh, good, right here. Come on. Everybody see this?
It's spinning. Yeah, there you go.
Yes.
Oh,
Good.
I'm going to minimize this for a second. So some of you guys were at the last meeting where we presented a hard copy of this. I don't know when, February 15th, John, myself, Kelly, and Kathy went out on a car ride one Saturday morning, and we started an assessment of all the parks. And we have listed all the parks. Just going across the top, it's acreage, passive or active. And then I researched and did some main active ingredients and then some passive ingredients of the parks. And then we just went through and said yes or no. And then after all of these drive-throughs, Kelly made some notes, which will have a lot of, great job on dog facilities, or may need trash cans over here or there, just general notes. So this is what we've done so far. And we're going to continue this probably in the next 2 or 3 weeks, a little further deep dive into Central Park. We didn't get back into the arms of the park and the trails of the park. It was really cold that day, so we kind of did a drive-through.
Really cold.
Yeah. So I can share this actual spreadsheet with everybody when we're done, but this is where we're at so far. So phase 2 is going to be a further assessment, and we've been discussing a little, like a bike ride, a guided tour, a few of us gathering. It may be in a week, maybe in a month. We haven't really nailed it down yet, but that's going to be another, just as I said, deeper dive. So this is where we're at so far on this. Look for more, and our goal is going to be to assemble a list that we'll pare down as a group and say, I think we should work on these 4 or 5 items first, and then plan for phase 2 is these guys, and kind of give some guidance to our guys from aboard. So that's our assessment underway. Kath?
I love the spreadsheet, and great job, Kevin. Great job. It's easy to see. It's easy to read, except when you need to put your glasses on. But with our first trip, and then looking at this, there are holes in this. There are not holes, but places that we haven't visited, places that we haven't seen, as Kevin said, close up. And we want this assessment to be a thorough, complete document, I guess, pretty much working document, right, Kevin? That's
Right.
Yeah, and we want it to be a cooperative process as well, so that we come up with things, and then we work with Chris and Dave, hopefully with you, and Karen with you, and figure out what we've come up with, what's on your scope, and then what's not on your scope, and then present to the Board of Supervisors with our recommendations, short-term and long-term of that. And
we've even gone so far, Kevin, just give it, we've gone so far as to, on the farther right column, is a smart park and concession opportunities. And I didn't realize that most of our parks have no lighting, which is pretty cool. But the ones that do, should we go to, super efficient LED bulbs? Is there an opportunity for some concession to make some money at the parks? So we're looking further down the road to expand the usage as well as what it currently has, and can we make them a little better, or inform the public of what's out there, because most people don't know that all these parks are this fantastic.
yeah,
Kathy, I can speak to the park lighting real quick.
okay.
At least Central Park, I mean, we are going with LED fixtures in the park lighting project that we put out the bid. So we are replacing the lighting in the park.
Fantastic.
Central Park. And again, you're correct that other parks don't have lighting. And also just got to remember that, the parks are closed, at dusk as
Right.
well. But obviously, we have them open for special events. So we're doing, we're replacing those right now. With the project that will go in front of the board for their approval
Right.
coming up shortly.
And besides the lighting, Dave, we're looking at, is there any ways we can reuse some water, conserve some water and repurpose it? So it's not just, we're just looking on a grander scale than what at least I've thought about in, the past as park usage. So just trying to get a little more 21st, second century.
Sure. Now, I think that, Kevin, I think the recommendations that everybody's come up with is great. I think what we need to do is sit down with Karen and myself and Chris Mason and maybe the subset of this group to talk about, what your recommendations are.
Yep.
And what's in Chris's mind. I know Chris, has his maintenance plan, and he's only been on the job for about 1.5 years now or so. Somewhere around there, time escapes me already as for how long he's been on the job, but so he's new to his, developing a maintenance plan, how he wants to do things, how he wants to maintain
Right.
fields, and all these other things that he possibly has thoughts of that he would want to do as well. So I think we should meet, and I think we should talk about your recommendations after it goes through the Park and Rec Board, and what we can do, what we can implement.
That's exactly our
So-
plan, Dave. We're going to do
Kevin-
this more further on,
Yeah.
and then gather our list as a group, and then present it to you guys. And we're going to come to you with an organized list.
Great.
So Kevin, it sounds like you have a very specific, not very specific, but part of what you're looking at here is the environmental way we use the parks and figuring out if we're doing it correctly or whatnot is. And I would ask, Karen, is anybody else doing this that we can kind of pick their brains, or is there a standard for other parks out there, other park systems?
I don't know that there's so much a standard as most park systems operate off of their park recreation open space plan. And for anybody on the current board who does not have one, I will get one to you, and then we can go back and look at recommendations from there and build on those recommendations with this assessment, as well incorporate them into the plan update, which, as you know, we were planning to have Judy, our consultant, at the last park board meeting, and then everything went awry. So we would like to get that wrapped up soon. There's probably, there's comparisons across the board, Paul. We just have to decide who we want to look at. And some of the contemporaries might be Northampton.
Right.
I'll think of a few other ones that are probably, Hatfield's doing a nice job right now. And a couple on our border with Montgomery as well, with the Bucks Mountain crew.
Right. Okay.
Once we get our head above water, I think we can.
Paul, good.
Yeah, I think we should just not try and reinvent the wheel, right? There's got to be some
Right.
information out there, is what I'm saying.
Sure.
This is what I based it on this Smart Park score nationally. Which
Okay.
They assess lighting efficiency, water usage. Those are 4 or 5 different things.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't really completely went headfirst into it, but that's kind of what we're going towards.
Gotcha. Okay.
The Smart Park plan's a good idea.
I'm going to stop sharing the screen now, Kathy. You can take over.
Okay, that's fine. I like looking at it. I mean,
Yeah.
now we get to see everybody too. But the other thing, Kevin, on that, one of the things that we all found, and we said this before, is that our parks look good. That we're proud of how our parks look. But the other thing that we're focusing on is what's there and what needs to be there, as far as what amenities we have. Are they in good shape? Do they need to be improved? Do things need to be added? And so that's a biggie out of this. So Dave, we're talking, maintenance. We're also talking environmentally, but we're also talking actual buildings or facilities or courts or whatever else that's there that might be there or might not be there. That's part of this assessment as well, right, Kevin? I mean, that's.
Yeah, I mean, we're throwing everything we could think of against the wall during our tour. Hey, could this building be used as a little wedding rental? Anything we can think of, we'll put it on a paper, and then we'll sift through it as a group and give Dave and Chris a more comprehensive, well thought out list than what we have now. We're just going through and gathering information. I think we're trying to get this maybe prepared for the June, July timeframe, finish it up, present it to everybody else.
Yep. So our goal is to whittle everything down, and then that would mean also Dave to meet with you and Chris and Karen and go maintenance, facility, everything. If we can work all of that in together, that's a big to do right there. But I think if we get out and if we're allowed to get out.
I think that one of the things I think that would, I'm hopefully going to think through is obviously the stuff we could do right away, and then obviously short-term, long-term.
Yep. Right.
That
Yep.
should be capital projects because we're looking at the budget now, and obviously, with what's happened here and the impact of the budget, what is maintenance and what is kind of capital projects and what how we're going to proceed here in the future. So with work and things like that. So that certainly is just a concern.
And Dave, since you mentioned that, something that I wanted to toss out to the board is, since the assessment is one of our big goals of this year, that we as a board request that the Board of Supervisors wait until our assessment is complete before they make any decisions on any future amenities, structures, any improvements to our parks. That's something I want to toss out to you guys to see if you agree with that we let the BOS know basically what we're doing, and that we request that they wait till we complete everything before moving forward with anything. Any talk on that? Anybody agree, disagree? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Dave, you said something about bidding out lighting. What exactly does that entail? I'm just trying to think of what projects the township may be looking at that we don't know about.
Central Park Lane was a capital project. It's been on the budget actually for a couple of years now. We finally have moved it forward, and the replacement of the Central Park lights, all the loop road lights and the parking lot lights are going to be replaced. Part of this project, we will purchase the lights directly from a vendor supplier. We'll get quotes for that. That'll go in front of the board. And we bid out and open the bids on April 7th for the installation of the lights, as well as the purchase and line install of the foundations for the lights.
So these
will not be direct burial. They're basically going to match the lights that are at the township building, the new building, exactly. And that's the scheme we're going to use. We worked with Boucher and James to come up with a plan. Sinclair reviewed the plan, went through a code review, and we'll be taking that in front of the board for their approval potentially next week, or most likely, I think, Steph, that's right, we're going to go next week, what we're looking at.
So this is just improving or replacing or maintaining existing parking lot lighting. We're not talking about expanding what's illuminated in the park, like no pathway lights where we don't have them now or anything like that, right?
No, the only thing would be is that we had to basically upgrade the lighting scheme to match our code, which is, the amount of lumens per the minimum 0.3 lumens, that's the spread of an area. So if you're lighting a road or a path, has to meet those requirements, and that's what we did to meet the requirements. So we added, I think I added 3 poles, maybe, that was it, around the parking lots or a path.
Well, I think, if I can interrupt for just a sec, I think, one of the things Kathy was kind of getting at was that it would have been nice to know more about that. Not that there was a huge opportunity there, but if, let's just say we wanted to add a light somewhere because we thought there was an area that for whatever reason needed it. Like I said, I think it would be nice if we knew about those projects so that we could talk about them and possibly, fit them into the plan that we're kind of developing and, that Kevin's working on there. Is there anything else going on, David, that, you see in the next, for 2020?
No, that was probably actually a 2017 or 18 project.
So it wasn't.
It's been around for a while now.
Right.
Yeah.
Just the
It's
main.
been on the budget for a couple years as a capital project. So this is not like we came up with it for 2020. The other project that we have that is in the parks is the bridge. It's on as a capital project. We have to determine if we're going to move it forward based on the budget. Is the replacement of the roof at Bridgepoint Park on the structure itself. That the roof is a cedar, shake roof. It's leaking. It needs to be repaired. So we have that on as a project. We haven't done anything with it, bid it, anything. It's just on as a capital project for, I think, $30,000 because it's going to be replaced in kind. Possibly put gutters on the building so that we don't have an impact with.
And Dave, when Chris met with us 2 meetings ago or whatever, he went, do you all remember that? Chris explained that was part of the improvements to the park. So I think we actually have that in our notes on our assessment. So, my idea is just to let the Board of Supervisors know kind of what we're doing and request that they wait until we finish ours before they move on any major improvements, any capital improvements. Anybody?
Well, I think it's pretty clear that there's not going to be any, for 2020 at least. So I think we're in good shape, Kathy. I mean, wouldn't we agree? Obviously, David would know about them, So if we have our survey done by mid-June, we should be in good shape for anything that's going to come up for, I guess, 2021, to talk about it.
Dave, do you think so? I mean, is
Well,
that?
yeah, certainly, again, what we have on the books for this year is big expenditures is Central Park lighting and the replacement for the roof. Now, again, the replacement, are we going to do it now or are we going to wait based on our assessment of our capital this year based on, obviously, we had a 30-day shutdown and this pandemic and this whole situation. So we're doing our evaluation and we'll be doing our recommendations to the Board of Supervisors as we work through our budget work sessions. The other thing too is now is your opportunity to start thinking about 21 projects. So as you're doing this assessment, you're on the front end of the planning for 21, really. So now this is your point in time to say, okay, we want to do A, B, C, and start putting those things together and working with us or our planners or engineers to develop, basic capital expenditure form. What's the cost going to be? What's the engineering? What's permitting? What's construction? Whatever that's going to take to basically move a project forward for 21. And then, obviously it gets on the list, and then obviously the board will decide ultimately what projects move forward. And then we're just doing general maintenance. We have, just example, the footbridge at over by Kids Castle needs to have some work done. There's trail maintenance that we have money for that we need to start to do, and basically fixing trails and repaving trails because they're starting to see, show their age, that kind of thing. So
Sure.
That's what we're looking at and doing. So it's more, some of the stuff is maintenance as opposed to like a big capital project.
Okay. All right. All right.
That sounds like we're in pretty good shape, right, Kathy? As far as, being notified, knowing what's going on and having our plan ready.
I guess I'll take this opportunity, Steph, if you want me to talk about Central Park bathrooms, since we had the discussion. Do you agree? You're on mute.
Just something you might all consider. We have about 5 minutes left of time before we have to say goodbye.
Why?
No, you have an hour.
Oh, an hour. I thought we only had, good. I thought we only had another 5 minutes. Okay, good.
No, 7
And
until
Ryan,
the
hi.
8:30 has to do theirs.
Oh, okay.
7.
Got it.
Okay.
I misunderstood that one. Sorry.
So basically, Steph, do you want to talk about Central Park bathrooms real quick, or
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Just generally, I think it's that this is I guess a 20, potentially a 21 potential project. Is that's something that obviously supplemental bathrooms in Central Park that, might be part of your assessment. I don't know. I'm sure it is. I'm sure it's probably the top of the list, Kathy and Kevin and whoever else looked at it, that, if it is, or if not, where do you want that to be? And obviously your recommendations of the board, because it is a park and rec amenity, that I think that, we need to start thinking about it. Karen and I have talked about it. We've talked about it in many different levels and with groups and boards. So if that's something that you want to see move forward, that's also probably, should be on top on the list.
Well, so Dave, I guess, so what is the conversation there? Because that's one of the things that I feel as though has been decided is important before it has been determined that it is important by us.
Well, that's why I'm bringing it up with you, because you're the Park and Rec Committee. It's your project. It's your project to move forward. So you have to decide as a group, is it something that you want to bring forward as a 21 project? And, and then we need to start crafting it as a capital project. What's it going to cost? How big? Not necessarily where, but generally a good idea of where, because it also impacts the cost of, construction. And obviously it's not, is it a standalone facility? Is it going to be connected? What do you want it to be? It's your project to craft, and then it's for us to work with you guys, this committee and the staff and our professionals to say, well, let's come up with the cost estimate and do our homework here. So when we do take it to the board, number one, we don't underestimate what it is, and the board is a good understanding of what you're asking for.
So Kathy, can I make a suggestion? I mean,
Sure.
We've talked, I think, very briefly about the whole bathroom situation, and it's obvious that it's a need, but I don't think it's any different than any of our other goals for 2020. I mean, I think it's outside the scope of this meeting. It's, it's not really on the agenda, and I'm sure that the conversation could very quickly overtake this meeting. Do we want to have do we have anybody who wants to champion that topic and get it on an agenda and kind of lay out some basics so we can actually open it up for discussion?
No, Paul, and I mean, that's where I think we are going in the wrong direction, where that's why I said that we need to complete our assessment before we make any projections on future projects. That's my stand on that. And Dave, if you say, that it is a potential 2021 or not project.
No, I don't. I think what Kathy, what needs to happen is
I'm fine with that. I mean, that's
it was brought up at Ways and Means. It was brought up at Ways and Means. And I think even Ways and Means said that they were going to develop a CapEx form, but it's a park and rec.
Okay.
Well, again, so then
all right.
We haven't been behind it.
No.
If somebody wants to take it on, I'd be happy to talk about it, but we have a lot of other stuff going on.
No, and tonight's not the night to talk about it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But tonight is the night to focus on what our plans are, and focusing on that bathroom is not part of our plans. That's so Dave, we can take what you're saying in moving forward to 2021.
That's fine with me. Yeah, I just want to make sure that
and go on from there.
The ball's in your court as the Park and Rec Committee. What you want to do with bathrooms in Central Park?
Okay, and it will be part of our assessment. Do you guys, Paul, Kevin, Mary, do you all agree with that? I mean,
Yes.
here we can do
I agree. It should be part of the assessment, just like anything else.
just like anything else,
Yes.
right?
Mhm.
It's
Yes, I agree too.
okay. All right, we don't need to. Okay, all right. Then let's move on to anything else on the assessment.
Not for me.
Okay, social media, Paul.
So admittedly, we haven't done a lot with social media with all the, needless to say, the recent events. But I think Kevin and I did get together. We kind of came up with a little bit of a game plan, some outlines. What the ultimate goal is of social media as it pertains to Parks and Rec. And obviously, that is that we want to upgrade our marketing and outreach really, to increase, revenue and reach. And the best way to do that at this point is social media. So the question becomes, how do we do that? And how can we do that? Kevin and I discussed, and Kathy, you and I discussed, the potential of either a part-time or full-time or whatever social media person within the township. Ryan, I know we've talked about that before. Also, there's the possibility of having a consultant be hired to set up a program and even to, theoretically maintain that in the future. But I think it's probably going to be a multi-pronged approach. And I think that we need to do our research now. One of the things we talked about, Kathy and Kevin, I think you and I talked about as well, is, seeing what the cost of a consultant would be. So I think, Kathy, you were going to talk to somebody to get just a budgetary type number. And, Kevin, is that something you could do? I know you had somebody you were working with.
Yeah, I have a girl that ran for my nonprofit years ago. She currently runs accounts for Marsha Brown, Shady Brook Farms, 10, 15, 20 companies. And I think they pay her $100 a month, which is not a lot of money. And she posts 15 items a month, but she goes out, takes original pictures, and the content is pretty clean, nice stuff. Now, I also acknowledge we need to run it through the township so they can improve. We're not trying to just hijack this account. We want to work conjunctly with them. They'll own the content, but we kind of want to create our own energy as a board and as a township and say, hey, did you know we can, let's say we have a hamburger cookout at Central Park for whatever it is. We want to be able to promote items and raise money through concessions, get vendors, and start the process of having our own more energy than is there now.
Right. And I think one of the big things there, and Ryan, I was hoping that you could help out with this, is, the big question is can a consultant, do the social media for, a portion of the township, that portion being their Parks and Rec, and could volunteers do that? Is it okay to have them represent, Doylestown as far as it goes with social media? Because if not, we're going to have to hire somebody.
I think both can be done, frankly. I think if there is somebody that says they're to do that from this committee, if someone says, hey, I'm going to take the charge on this, I think a simple memorandum of agreement between, between the volunteer and the township, just stating this,
right.
I don't see any reason why you couldn't do that.
Okay.
We do it at my foundation all the time. We've given access to volunteers to post live videos and do different things. I think, as long as there's an understanding and you put it in writing and, for me, I feel like that's the way that, we'd have to talk through with the rest of the board. But I think that, every time I've tried to broach this subject around, enhanced marketing, whether it's a social media manager or coordinator, it becomes a cost analysis, right? So
right, sure.
We can bring a plan that doesn't show that there's a cost, but there's obviously a benefit. I'm obviously fully in support of that.
Right. So I think, it's great. So I think really what our next step should be is, to talk about the consultant numbers. Because I think none of us are social media professionals, right? I mean, we could all, probably fake it, but I think it would be nice.
Speak for yourself.
I think it would be nice, to possibly have somebody,
I would say if Kevin knows somebody who's running running these very legitimate businesses within the county and original content. And, again, it's not something where you need, 60 posts a month,
right.
Where there's 15 strong posts and it's $100. I mean, I was 2 years ago pushing to bring on a person, right? So even at an entry level, that's thousands and thousands of dollars, right? $100 a month is pretty palatable, and I think something that fits in. And again, like I said, I think the most important thing is that it's part of the whole comprehensive plan and it's presented in that way.
Right. No, I mean, personally, I think that, it might be more than $100 a month, but to get it started and get it started right. But the other thing too is I think we need to keep in mind too, as we talk about things like the building, and the and the concert series, especially as we're going to be a little bit behind this year, but we're spending those marketing dollars. The marketing is in our budget for the building. And whether that goes for billboards or signs or a social media campaign, I don't think it matters personally. It's however it best fits.
Best use of the money. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. So yeah. So I think Kevin, if you could reach out, and maybe get some specifics,
Sure.
maybe come back with a couple links for sites that she does, currently run or has run in the past. And like I said, Kathy, you were going to reach out for some budgetary, soft numbers as well, right?
Yep.
So I think that would probably be the best next step, and then after that, we figure out if there is some money that we want to spend, and start, taking the next step and either hire somebody or get it set up.
Okay.
Great.
All right. So Ryan, once we get everything set up, you think we could present our plan to the Board of Supervisors? That would be the best step. Can we?
I mean, yeah. Again, I'm one person of five. I don't know where, people line up on things. I will certainly advocate for.
Here we go. Good.
That's all we can ask for.
This and yeah, 100%.
Okay. Thank you. Good. Okay. Thanks, Paul. Thanks, Kevin.
No
Anything
problem.
else? Anybody else have anything to add to that? Anybody? Blythe, do you work with anybody who, might have any input on that?
Not any type of professional. No.
Okay. Mary Ann, John, anybody? Nope.
No, I think it's actually something that would be important for a lot of businesses. And if we can find somebody for $100 a month or $200 a month that would do a credible job of keeping our presence in social media, I think it would be an excellent investment.
Okay.
I'll email a list of accounts and links to their Twitter, Instagram, Facebook pages, so you can go look at. She drives on site. She's a professional photographer. She takes great pictures or whatever, just to see the kind of work she does. And if we want to use her, then we'll judge her on that and then bring her up and talk to her as a group.
So Kevin, one thing.
Just pick her brain too, if she'll let us,
Yeah.
Kevin, do you think that she would be, or has she done that of, like possibly setting something up new? You know what I mean? I would imagine, obviously there's the logistics, there's the look of a new page and that kind of thing. But there's also, obviously when you're setting up something new for social media, you're kind of putting that big push out there to get people to, to get those initial followers in.
Like
If she's done anything. Yeah. Maybe it's like a 3-month campaign, where she's really pushing, the posts and the, trying to get, follows and things like that.
I don't know on a government level, but for my own nonprofit back a couple years ago and other ones, I went from me doing it and there was 5 followers. She
Right.
took over in a month, there was 2,000. So she just went everywhere and launched it. So I'm sure she knows more than I do about it, but I'll talk to her tonight or tomorrow morning and I'll email some updates and bring her in and talk to us if you want her to.
that'd be perfect. Good.
Great. Awesome.
All right. Anything else on social media? Okay. Thanks, guys. Hey, Dave,
Yes.
how about our community building?
The update is the proposals are in process and they need to go to the solicitor, which one is in the solicitor's possession. The other one is about to go to the solicitor and to the chairman of the board for their review and comment. And that's probably the best update I can give right now is that they're ready to be reviewed and we're being reviewed at this point. So for the construction management owner representative services and for the professional engineering architectural services on the building.
So we have the proposals in, or we have the RFPs?
Yeah, the RFPs. The RFP documents are for into the solicitor and the chairman to review.
Okay. So we have not issued RFPs yet.
No, we have not.
Okay.
And I think we've discussed internally is this is a big undertaking, and the question is, we probably should we'll probably have some discussion, possibly at the budget work session. So I think the board needs to understand the expenditure here of money for this work, for the engineering services to do this. So, and right now that's not a budgeted item for 2020, okay, for the engineering, for the Park and Rec building. Okay, so.
I thought we didn't include anything, Dave?
No.
Okay.
No, it was intended in a conversation with the board and the Ways and Means at one of the meetings back end of the year, and I think reiterated in March, was that it would be part of the bond issue. We could recoup, we would we'd make the expenditures, Paul, and then recoup the costs during, the bond issue period.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I knew we had talked about it. I just didn't remember whether it actually had.
I think what we talked about was that the fees would come out of fund balance, and then as Stephanie says, it would be the fund balance would be reimbursed once the bond issue passed.
So we're switching, right?
Well, we just want to make sure the board, we've been working with staff in the finance committee. We've been working on a lot of analysis in terms of the impact of the coronavirus on the township's budget, et cetera. And we want to make sure, the board, we're still operating under a declaration of emergency. And, we want to make sure that the board is all, understands everything related on the financials as we make these big steps forward in various areas.
Okay, but are we spending money to put the RFP out? Maybe I'm not understanding.
The RFP for the architectural engineering services, feasibility study, architectural engineering services, and all the engineering, yes, is being done. And that was approved that was put in front of the board, and the board approved that. Internally, we are doing that. We did the services for the construction management owners representative services. That was done.
Okay.
But the only cost to the township at this point is the cost of having our professionals review the RFP, right?
Correct.
So
Correct.
It's not costing us anything to issue the RFP. It won't.
That's what I was
cost us
getting at, John.
anything really until the design professionals start to do their thing and start to bill us.
Which we have to approve. The board needs to approve first, right? So we're not on the hook for anything.
No.
Right. And asking for consultants to provide services, that takes time, and a lot of them have furloughed people and stuff like that.
Oh,
so,
sure.
We don't want to want to make sure that the board knows that if we're going to put something out, and, I think Dave said one time, if we're going to dangle a carrot in front of everybody, are they going to grab at it and get to eat it, or are we going to pull it away from them? So we just want to make sure, because of coronavirus, because we're under this disaster situation, we want to make sure that everybody's on the same page. That's all. Want to protect the township and, moving forward in this. That's all. Being cautious right now.
We can appreciate that. Any guesstimate on, as far as when they go out and turnaround time, as far as?
I think a minimum, and here's the other thing too, is again, you're probably talking 30 days or plus, because, again, firms have furloughed. I've spoken to firms that have furloughed people. So, at a minimum, you want 30 days for an RFP to go out, and to now the owner's representative services is a request for qualifications, because you really can't ask somebody to scope out providing services for a project that really isn't defined yet. I mean, it's defined as in we know what, generally you got a building size, square footage, where you're going to go, but it's also going to be as to, You know, it's the old adage of, you know, I want to buy a car. How much is it going to cost me? Well, I don't know. What kind of car do you want? Do you want a Cadillac or do you want a Yugo? Once I know what you're going to buy, I can tell you what you want to buy. I can tell you how much it's going to cost. So same idea with owner's representative services. You can't say, hey, please tell me how much it's going to cost to do this if you don't even know. You can't tell them in great detail what they have to do and what you're asking them for. So it's a little.
Yeah, I just don't think we should, you know, slow down because of people being on furlough. I mean, you know, I'm in the construction industry and construction's opening all over
No, I'm
southeast
not saying we should slow
Pennsylvania.
down. I'm saying is that we just, you know, I'm gonna say generally I would probably give 30 days plus. Just, you know, maybe it's 6 weeks, maybe it's 5 weeks, maybe it's 45 days for the RFP process, not 30.
Dave, just an observation. I think a lot of those CM contracts are based on the construction cost. So I would anticipate that we would be getting qualifications from solicited firms, and then they would tell us what percentage of the value of the construction they're going to charge us to manage the construction on the township's behalf. So it really would depend on the cost of the construction. And so we're going to pick the company that has the best qualifications compared with the lowest percentage, and that's going to inform or at least the board's decision. I would think that's, you know, that's
The problem is that you don't know the construction costs. You don't know the construction.
no, and neither do they. But their fee is going to be based on the construction cost. So in other words, if it's a $5.5 million building, they get let's just say 4.5% of $5 million. If it's a $6 million building, they get 4.5% of $6 million. It floats along with the ultimate value of the construction.
I'll say that the CM for the admin police building and that project was a fee-based contract. It wasn't a percentage-based contract.
Well, it's a chicken or the egg. Something has to happen
Agreed.
first.
Agreed.
So, okay, are we, I mean, I think with that, there's nothing definitive that we can come up with right now, right? That's discussion, but there's not an answer to that tonight, correct? So can we move on?
I think as long as the township staff is pushing to get that process moving and on the street with the Board of Supervisors' consent, of course, then I'm happy. But I can tell you that the design world has not gone to sleep.
Right, that's what, yeah.
I'm busy.
I agree.
The architects that I'm working for from New York to Maryland are working from home aggressively. And they may have furloughed some staff members, but by and large, design.
But if they had to work, they'd bring them back.
Well,
You know what I mean? You know.
So you guys are saying it may not take 30 days or it may not take six weeks. It should take less time than that. Is that?
Hey, obviously, the township needs to be careful, but hey, let's not forget that, you know, every month that we push this out, you know, we're paying for trailers, you know, that are coming right out of the bottom line, right? You know, so that's not a small cost every month. So I just, like I said, I just think it, you know, obviously the township needs to be careful. There's no questions asked at this point, you know what I mean? But I think, you know, we should be getting RFPs out there and, you know, seeing what people say.
Okay. And they are getting out there now, right, Dave?
Again, they have to be reviewed by the solicitor and by the chair of the Board of Supervisors before they will be out for solicitation. That's what we have to do. That's always what we've been charged with doing when we do these proposals, things like that, is that they have to be reviewed by the solicitor and the chair.
Okay. All right. Anything else, guys?
Did they reference a Yugo earlier?
Okay. Who's talking? All right. Any new business? Anybody have anything else to bring up? Anything?
Not me.
Okay. Karen, do you have an update for what's going on in PNR?
Kathy, can I get a quick one? Just something for people to think about.
Sure.
It goes back to what you and I talked about. one of the things Kathy and I talked about is overall communications, and especially, obviously the remote stuff that everybody's doing. We're learning more and more about that. So we were talking about doing, some sort of software where, as a board, we could communicate a little more efficiently. I've worked with Teams and, different list softwares and Trello. And I think and I think Kathy agreed, the communications between the board members in between meetings could be better. And we use email, but that's not great. So something where possibly we could, have a chat or stream or a topic where we, maybe are able to post some documents and things like that is something we might want to think about in the future. So I don't know if anybody's worked with something like that. Obviously, we don't need to talk about it tonight. But if you do have any ideas, maybe we can put it on the agenda in the future. Is that sound kind of about what we talked about, Kathy?
Yeah. Well, and the point there is that we aren't just conversing the day of the meeting, that we
Right.
are keeping things.
Right. And it doesn't have to be limited to board members. I mean, David and, Stephanie and, whomever, maybe Chris Mason, could be on there as well. So just, like I said, some way to improve communications,
open up communication better. So,
Yeah.
yeah. And thanks, Paul. We did talk about that. We did.
Yeah.
So if you
that's
all
it.
know of a vehicle or of, a way to do that, that's easy to use, speak up. Okay, Karen.
Not tonight, but
Yeah,
in the future.
Karen.
Okay, welcome to Camp Karuna. It's been an adventure. We've actually been busier than ever. Even though parks may be closed and programs may be out of sorts at the moment, there is a lot going on and a lot of conversations more about coming back and what that looks like. I'm trying to package recommendation for the board for Tuesday. I've been in the last 2 weeks have been almost daily conversations from the national level down to the local level. So and our state organization is working with many avenues to create a set of guidelines for us to navigate. As you know, there's more unknown than there is known about moving forward. And we're trying to work within those parameters and make a productive recommendation to the board on Tuesday. It'll come out to Steph as a memo. And it's a tough time. It's a really, really tough time. And from a park and rec perspective and a park and recreation professionals, it's been really hard because we're not ones that look to close anything down or shut anything down. We're always looking how to do more. So we've done a lot of, we've been trying to do a lot of virtual activities. We've had several virtual activities we put out. I think, Kathy, you told me your community participated in the virtual egg hunt.
And we did. And, our neighborhood, it was fun.
So we're trying to put opportunities out there, and almost every day we keep a set of virtual activities, virtual opportunities for people that go out through the Facebook, and we've had some really good response from that. And we've actually reached outside our internal community, but also outside. It's looking right now as we move forward that I'm going to have to make some really, really hard recommendations. One of them is going to be, and anybody that knows me knows me, this is one of my babies. Probably going to make the recommendation to move the concert series as we know it this year, the whole schedule, move it sort of like the Olympics to next year. It does not look like we're going to get numbers that are conducive. I'm looking at the screen here. I think I can see it. We've got information up here that are going to allow us to effectively and efficiently do that concert series this year and move it into hold for next year. Try to limit any costs we have. Some of our performers, especially the big ones, have been amenable to working with us. But I'm going to have to make those decisions now if we want to recoup any of our funds and be able to work and move forward with them, because they're in the position now where they have to start to make plans. A lot of them are talking about not going out on the stage. I've talked to a number of my colleagues how to do things virtually. We have a big concert series. Fireworks are already off the table because of the volume. We're looking at how we can do things in the park, get things opened up for the general public. Our primary mandate in every municipality is health, safety, and welfare. So I'm looking heavily at how and what we can get open for our community. We know the athletic fields and organized athletics will be down for the summer. I've had personal conversations with all our groups, and they are anticipating that. And in many cases, their guiding organizations are not moving them forward as it is. So we're looking at a lot of mitigation opportunities and how we can move forward. And as I continue to get the guidelines from the state, Pennsylvania Recreation and Park Association, Park Society, we will, I'll be presenting that to the board and looking for new and creative ways to keep moving forward. Unless the sky opens and this thing gets sucked out into the universe, I'm not there yet. I'm not a proponent of virtual program guides, but we may look at that for the fall because there's just too much gray at this point. And hopefully by the time we get to mid-July and August, when we would be putting that together, we'll know more where we can go. We're looking at all of our summer programs right now, and based on numbers and allowable numbers in any type of gathering space, how we could mitigate any of those programs to possibly work. I think I might be able to get the tennis courts up staggered, taking every other net down for the time being until we get once we hit yellow, until we get a larger number. And I think we might be able to, at that point, open up some of the individual exercise areas and really push forward with opportunities for folks in our community to come to the parks. Across the board, playgrounds will be the last to open. They are by far the most dangerous at this point. So we're just eking through the process. It's getting hot and heavy right now. I don't have a lot of defined answers and numbers to give you at this point. We collectively have reached out to 2 weeks ago to the Department of Health, who has been very receptive to addressing our quirky sets of amenities and services that we provide. So we're getting some information through our state organization on that one, and we continue to work on that. So
Karen,
yeah.
Is May 31st still are we looking at the middle of June? Or is it still May 31st until we hear otherwise?
No, it's a work in progress right now. We're having a lot of dialogue across the board. We've been having a number of Zoom meetings, both nationally and statewide. And we're all talking with each other. We're locally in Bucks County. We have the Bucks County Recreation Council, in other words, BCRC, and we're looking at what we can do collectively and cooperatively. We meet we meet every week now. Some of us are talking daily. Probably 90% of the full-blown summer camps in the county are going down. Can't run them. You're just not allowed to. It's not a matter of choice whether they want to or not. They just can't.
So as we see people out in the park and people say, what's going on, you really can't give a definitive answer, and I can't give a definitive day by day, right?
No, I can't give it a definitive answer. The codes, the color codes, the phases are pretty clear at this point.
And we'll just follow those.
I'm going to make a recommendation to the board based on the information I have relative to yellow. When we get to yellow, it's not all that much different than red. A lot of it is more conducive to businesses and getting businesses open and getting people moving around again. There's still a lot of limitations. The gathering limitations and the self-distancing social distancing are still very much in place. We have indication at this point going to green that the largest number, say, for a concert is less than 100. We know that green is not all clear. We know there's mitigation in that. So it's a really tough decision. I'm gonna have to make my best educated guess that I can to the board and look to service our community. And CDC clearly says it's not recommended to go far from home, so we want to be careful about bringing people from far in.
So we'll look to the next BOS meeting
Yes.
as far as what's moving forward there. That's
Yes.
okay. Okay,
Yeah,
because
it's
we're at
hard on
6:30, so we want to.
Yeah, so it's pretty clear and it's pretty standard. Like I said, we're working on this collectively, so most municipalities will see pretty much the same types of recommendations. It's you know, it's pretty clear in black and white in terms of what you have to do socially and what you can do gathering wise, or red and yellow at this point, I should say. And it's going to be tough. And I'd like to think that that we want to get people out in the parks, we want to get them moving, we want to get them active with their families, have an opportunity to come out, fly kites, take balls, throw, and be involved in the outdoors. It's very, very important, and it's bared out pretty much nationwide how essential that is at this point. But large group gatherings is going to be really hard, and we all want to be part of the solution and hopefully get ourselves to fall so that we can actually have a fall season, maybe get some athletics back, and I think more importantly get kids back in school and be part of the success as a part of.
Okay. All right. We're all on, in an area that we've never been in before.
Yeah.
So we all have to be flexible and roll with it. Thanks, Karen. Anybody else have anything to add? Anything? Nope. We're right at 6:30, so we've I don't have anything else. So we can adjourn. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
I'll
Second.
John second.
Who's second?
All right, adjourned. Thanks, guys.
Who's second, please?
John did.
I did.
Just remember, as we roll with things, that we do represent I don't know, what I use the most, and that's let's appreciate our parks and let's support the decisions made and move forward. That's about all we can do. Okay? Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Now we have to figure out how to leave.
How to leave?
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.